currently. I've used it. I've tried it a couple times, and it was neat. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell Telescope Live, but I kind of like iTelescope a little better because you're actually interactive with the telescope. You're actually it's your telescope for that 4 hours, say, and you're in control of what it's doing, what filters it's shooting through and how long and stuff like that. So it's a little more hands-on with iTelescope. Telescope Live is more, they take the data for you kind of thing. But so you don't have that same interaction, that level of interaction, but it's still really nice data that you're getting, and it's beautiful to work with. If you've ever had an opportunity to try processing some of the data that comes out of these remote telescope locations, it's just phenomenal.
Agreed. I agree.
I'm just trying to send out a couple tweets here. Got this meeting live stream. Got it. Where's the chat? There it is there. Select. Oh, why does it do that? That's weird.
Oh my goodness.
Don't fall asleep on us.
No, I've
wait for my presentation to start. Then you can fall asleep.
No. I will never. No. You're one of the cool hip kids that like to keep everything entertaining.
Oh yeah, right. Cool hip kid. Maybe
cool
like 30 years ago.
You're not that old.
I don't know. I got a sore back, and
I have a sore back too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And the knee acts up once in a while now.
If it's
and the hair's gone all gray.
It's better to have gray hair than no hair.
Yeah, I know. Actually, my brother has no hair. He wasn't blessed with hair in the family, so he's basically got no hair, and I've got hair, but mine is gray. So I don't know. I suppose it's better to have hair than no hair. But I've seen some cool looking dudes with no hair too. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean Telly Savalas. I mean,
yeah. There you go.
I don't know if anybody remembers that guy.
I remember it. That was that not Kojak?
I think you have to be going on, better half of 100 years old to know who Telly was. But hey, he was cool, right? So
he was, yeah, definitely.
Right. Oh, dang it.
Well, everybody's saying howdy. The official greeting.
Oh yeah,
official greetings. Everyone's logging in. Yeah, that's cool.
Martin Eastburn's on. Jim's Astro. Billy's Astro. Beatrice Hines from Belgium. Mike Wiesner from Oracle, Arizona. That's where we're going to have the Arizona Dark Sky Star Party. So I'm heading out that way this month to go check out the facilities. Kevin Brown is on. He's one of the cool kids. Wade Prunty, he's looking for an ED 115. If anybody out there has an ED 115, God, think about giving it or selling it to Wade, because he really wants one. Yes. Yep. Pekka's on from Stockholm, Sweden. Nice. Harold Locke. Sentil Nagapan is on, and he says, "How are you? We are fine." Who else? Ken Noble, Josh Kovac. So thanks. And Conrad R. Sanders says hello.
Awesome. Yeah. That's great. That's sounds like you got a good audience, good turnout.
Yes,
we've been starting to get a lot.
Is that right?
Yeah. We've started to get a really good turnout so far.
That's good. Yeah. You're the timing of your show doesn't necessarily work for me. So a lot of times,
it's
hard. I sometimes watch it.
Very hard.
Yeah, when I'm parked, if I'm waiting for the wife, I'm picking her up or something like that from work, I'll sometimes watch it, what I can. But I'm usually out driving and stuff at that time. So
yeah, it's definitely hard with the time zones and during
time zone.
Hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not too bad though. Yeah,
no, it's the work hours sometimes.
Yeah, that too.
A paradise of sandy beaches and idyllic villages. this island is also home to ESA's IZN-1 laser ranging station. Today, we take a closer look at Tenerife and the Canary Islands. Welcome to Earth from Space. Located in the Atlantic Ocean, opposite the northwest coast of Africa, Tenerife is the largest of Spain's Canary Islands. Teide National Park, located in the center of the island, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and includes Mount Teide, which dominates the island. Standing at over 3,700 meters, its summit is the highest point on Spanish soil. However, much of the volcano's height is hidden. If measured from the ocean floor, its height of 7,500 meters makes Teide the third highest volcano in the world. Teide is an active volcano. Its most recent eruption occurred in 1909, when a lava flow buried much of the town and harbor of Garachico. Because of the island's diverse topography and unique climatic factors, Tenerife has multiple microclimates. This means that the weather can vary drastically from one part of the island to the other. Weather and climate are heavily influenced by the trade winds blowing from the northeast for most of the year, bringing humidity and precipitation to the north of the island, as well as to the northern slopes of Mount Teide. This effect can be clearly seen in dark green colors in the image, showing vegetation cover. Most of Tenerife's inhabitants live on the lower slopes, within a few kilometers of the sea. Around half the population is in or near the cosmopolitan capital of Santa Cruz de Tenerife, on the narrower northeast part of the island, and San Cristobal de la Laguna, the former capital. Other inhabitants live on the intensely cultivated slopes near the northern coast, where one of the chief towns is Puerto de la Cruz. The south is a popular destination where holidaymakers enjoy the beautiful beaches of Costa Deje. Tenerife is home to ESA's IZN-1 laser ranging station, located on the top of Izania Mountain. This is the first laser ranging station to be made commercially available. It is here where lasers are aimed into Earth's skies, probing hundreds of kilometers into space, seeking out satellites and soon pieces of space rubbish, as well as measuring their positions and trajectories to prevent catastrophic collisions. This station, telescope, and laser have recently undergone months of testing and commissioning and have passed their final tests with flying colors. This new station is operated as part of ESA's space safety program, protecting life and infrastructure on Earth and in orbit.
This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explorer Alliance. And on the 30th episode of Focus on Astrophotography, our special guest is Shawn Nielsen of Visible Dark. Tyler and Shawn will be talking about the NINA platform, which has its own learning curve. And so Shawn's here to help us out. Shawn, Tyler, great to have you guys back on our program. Yeah,
Look at him go.
right. So,
All right.
Friday.
All right.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
So we're, as Scott said, guys, or the audience, that I brought on Shawn because I know Shawn's more intuitive with Nina than I am, because I don't know Nina. To me, it's confusing. And I want to make sure that when you guys start out in the astrophotography world, because Nina is a free program, and it's a whole imaging program. It guides, focus control, filter wheel, flat panel. I believe, Shawn, does it do a flat panel yet?
Yeah, it can do flats. Yeah,
It does flat panel. It does imaging.
It does flat.
sequencing.
It does sky flats too, actually, which is
And
really
sky
nice.
flats. That's insane. And it's free.
Plate solving too, right?
And plate solving. It does a lot of stuff. So I was hoping that I'm glad Shawn was able to come on to kind of give us a step-by-step, because I know he struggled with it. I've struggled with it. And I'm hoping that he can at least break the barriers of the struggle for everybody that's starting out and wanting to use Nina. So Shawn, I really appreciate you stopping in again.
Yeah.
You are the best of the best of the best.
Well, thanks. Appreciate you having me on again. Fantastic to be here. Yeah, awesome. So I've been using Nina for about a year and a half now. I like we had talked earlier, I originally was using SGP, which is a good program, but I thought I would give Nina a try, and I had tried it and I didn't like it at first, and I went back to SGP, used that for a little while longer, but I was having some difficulty, so I ended up making a go at it with Nina and really giving it a try, trying to understand how to use it. And it wasn't easy. It took me several months to really get comfortable with it. And that was version 110, if I'm not mistaken. And then they came out with version 111, which really threw me for a loop, because they added a whole new sequencer to it, which was far more advanced and a lot more powerful. And it's evolved over the past year quite substantially to the whole program itself is just amazing and full featured. So it's considering it's free and the powerful capabilities of it, it's just one heck of a program to grab and get familiar with, start learning. So I can show you. Sorry, go ahead.
We already actually have cameras. Pekka is wanting to know that if we can show how to set up different profiles depending on which cameras you're using, and the telescopes and so on and so forth.
Right.
So I mean, what were before we get too crazy involved, what were some of the struggles that you had to deal with Nina?
The terminology was a little different than SGP. It's basically just like you're learning a new language, really, right? You're very comfortable with your own language, but you're starting out learning a new language. It's difficult to understand and comprehend it. So it was just that the language was a little different. Some of the terminology, not terrible, but it wasn't like PixInsight level. PixInsight is a whole other topic when it comes to terminology. But I struggled with that a little bit, but it was more how to do some basic things in it that I was used to doing with SGP, but was done differently. It was still possible to do in Nina, but it was done differently. So it was a matter of understanding how that was carried out, how that was done. And that was those were the two biggest obstacles that I had, was the terminology and understanding how to go about doing simple things like plates. If I slewed to a selected object, how could I manually plate solve? I didn't understand how to do that at first, and it was quite difficult. But eventually figured it out and kept rolling with the program. I didn't give up on it, much like PixInsight. Learning PixInsight, I didn't give up. I kept challenging myself to keep using it, and I eventually got the hang of it. And I'm not an expert by any stretch. I don't want to give the impression to anybody that I'm an expert with it. I know my way around it, but there is a lot more that I could be doing with it. I just don't have a setup that requires the capability, the full capability of the program, really, in terms of like operating an observatory and whatnot. I don't have that kind of setup, so I'm only using a fraction of its capabilities. But it's a wonderful program. Really, kudos to the developers and all the people behind it. That they put a lot of work into it. They spend a lot of time on this. There's updates. It seems like there's always almost every night there seems like there's an update. They're just plugging away and making this piece of software even better than it was yesterday. So really want to send out a big thank you to the developers behind Nina and all the work that they do. And if you can support them, I know I made a contribution to Nina to help keep the ball rolling. If anyone else out there can spare a buck or something like that, every little bit helps. And like I said, this is free software. These guys aren't doing it for profit. So if we can get behind them and rally with them, that would be fantastic. So hopefully that can happen. But go ahead.
Synthol, Scott's probably going to have to help. Nagapan? Is that right, Scott? You're muted, Scott.
That's right. Yeah, Centel Nagapan is who it is.
Yes, good. He's
and,
wanting to know, he doesn't have access to Polaris. Is there any way, Anita, that you can do a 3-star alignment?
Yeah, you can. I don't have, it's obviously daytime right now for me, and I don't have things hooked up and whatnot, but you can do that. Let me just find my screen here. I'll try and share it with you. I believe it is this one here. Is that showing for you guys?
Perfect. Love it.
It is? Okay. All right. So with regards to the 3-point polar alignment, that is possible. There is the 3-point polar alignment is available. Well, where did it go now? Right there.
More updates.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's always an update. Yeah. So the 3-point, I can't actually make it function, so I won't be able to give the full effect of it, but you can point the telescope anywhere in the sky that you want to, that's available. If you don't have Polaris, if you can't see Polaris, you can point the telescope and the 3-point polar alignment will do its job basically based on the position of the telescope where it's pointed in relation to Polaris. So once you get it, once you've done the 3 measurement points and with it, then it's basically going out to the mount and making the corrections with the altitude and azimuth until you get things centered basically for the star that you're pointed at. So I like I said, I'd love to show you, but I can't, so it's a little difficult to explain it entirely, but the answer to the question is yes. It is definitely possible. It is possible. Yeah,
it is possible. Perfect.
Yeah.
So start from the beginning, like you.
Okay, well, basically where I started with it was let me just see if I can move this zoom bar out of the way here. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
It's overlapping my screen here a bit. There we go. I got it to move. Okay, so I can't connect anything, but basically I started in the options under general. I just started right from the beginning and just went through it all.
And
so this is
all your scopes.
These are all, the different profiles that I have set up for the different scopes and whatnot. Yeah, are there. And I, chose what language I want and the font, and I'm using nightly updates for it. So you can change that to release updates or betas or nightlies. I'm doing nightly updates for it. I set up the folder for the Sky Atlas so that it can function with the Sky Atlas component of Nina. And you can set up your color scheme. I did a custom color scheme for mine, but you can choose from a variety of different color schemes if you want to, or you can create your own like I did. Entered my, site location. The site elevation actually should be, I believe it's around 350 meters here. So I'll just put that in while I'm there. And then I put a custom horizon. I built a custom horizon for my Nina, which is handy. Yeah, it gives you a better idea when things are behind the trees, because I have a lot of trees. I'm adjacent. My property is adjacent to a green space, so I've got 100-foot trees that border my property, and it cuts off a lot of sky. So I need to know where objects are when I'm trying to decide, when I'm trying to plan for a night of imaging. I need to know what's behind the trees and when it won't be behind the trees, so I can set up the sequencer in order to accommodate for that. But so that's under the general panel. Equipment is where you're going to enter the profile that you're setting up, where you're going to enter your camera details and your telescope information. Yes. So I have a QHY 268M connected. So this is the information for the QHY. The advanced settings I didn't have to worry about. That's not needed. And telescope, I'm using hey, look at that. I'll be darned. I'm using an Explorer Scientific 127. Wow. That's really interesting. Great scope, by the way. Anyone looking to buy one? Excellent scope.
I actually have a great deal.
People can get them. So
a great deal on one.
Do you?
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. I believe the FCD 100 is under $2,000. right
Oh,
now.
okay. Awesome. Great.
So,
Good.
But
Check
but
it
carry on. We're not here for
Yep.
sales. Carry
No,
on.
I know. Sorry. Doing a little plug there for Explore
yeah.
Scientific. But anyway, so yeah, set up your camera details, your telescope. If you have your weather information, you can set that up. I'm not using a weather device at all, so I don't have anything set up for that.
I mean, off topic, but I found that
Mhm.
weather stations, like Weather Underground, I have one at my
Yep.
house. They are handy to have.
They are, yeah,
They
but
are
you know,
extremely handy to have.
for me, I like to just go out and look. I like to go out and look up, basically. And
True.
check
Yeah.
out what's happening. That's because I've been fooled before. So I almost had all my equipment rained on one time. I was just missed me by about 10 minutes, right? Because I was
boy.
relying on satellite information and weather forecasts. And so at this point I just like to go out basically and have a look. So I tend not to worry about the weather stuff in Nina too much. But if you want, you can set it up. You can set up a weather station and you can plug in all your API keys and so forth and run with that. Set up a planetarium. And
so you use Cartesio. That's good. That's a good little program.
Surprisingly, I don't use it that much though anymore. For imaging, I primarily just use Nina for its Sky Atlas and its framing wizard.
And that's one thing that me and Kent talked about earlier in our other show is when you start in the imaging, you don't really use a planetarium hardly anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
You really don't.
You don't. No. I mean, when I was first starting out in astrophotography, I did, but I fell away from it rather quickly. Actually, I don't really have need for it too much unless I'm just sort of curious about something. I might fire up, like Stellarium is another one that I use, so I might fire that up and just have a look. But when I'm actually setting up my imaging run and imaging for the night, I'm rarely in the planetarium software. I'm more focused on Nina and what's going on there. So. Over on this side here, if I had things connected, this is where the filter wheel information would be. Okay. It's not showing obviously because I don't have it connected, but that's where that would be. So that would be under your equipment tab. Autofocus. This is gonna vary depending on the equipment that you're using, the electronic autofocuser that you're using. And it requires some playing with. It's not always easy to get it worked out exactly. Now, I will credit Nina developers for having excellent instructions. If you check out their online instruction manual, it is chocked full of all sorts of really good information and how-to and step-by-steps. So it's one of those things that if you're having difficulty with setting up the autofocus, definitely read through the instructions. I know a lot of people don't like to read instructions, but it's really important to do that in setting up the autofocus so you get it working right. And even at that point, I had to take some time to play around with the values a little bit, the settings, in order to get it tweaked for mine. I'm using a focus cube and a Pegasus Astro focus cube. And these settings work well for that. But if I changed to a different electronic autofocuser, I'd have to probably adjust these settings to get it to play nice.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't know. Do you, Tyler, do you use an electronic autofocus?
So I use the Moonlight Nightcrawler and the ZWO EAF, and they're different.
Okay.
They're both different.
Yeah.
Pekka's asking, which I think I know the answer. Does Nina support a Celestron autofocuser? Which I think if it's an ASCOM driver, it should be fine.
Yeah, if it's got an ASCOM driver, it should be fine. There shouldn't be any reason why it wouldn't support it.
And I've heard, can Nina run two mounts and cameras simultaneously?
Yeah, it can do it actually. I have Ron Breacher, a friend of mine.
There he is.
Yeah, there he popped up. His name came up. He's actually running 2 telescopes, 2 cameras through Nina, one Nina session, and he's 2 Nina sessions, I guess, really, but they're able to talk to each other.
That's crazy.
And they can synchronize dithering and so forth, and when the camera is actually taking an image and when it's not, and so forth. So yeah, it is completely possible. I haven't delved into that. I have the capability to go that direction, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm just enjoying shooting with the Explorer Scientific right now, and that's where I'm keeping things somewhat simple. Yeah,
No,
especially with the
simple.
weather that we're getting too, because we're just getting a lot of cloud, a lot of snow here. I know a lot of people are getting clouds and not having bad weather. So when when I do get an opportunity to image, if it ever comes around again, I just want to be able to get up and running and start imaging, right? So yeah, but I will probably eventually play with a dual setup like that and see, because I mean it would be great to have one telescope imaging the color data, RGB. You could use a one-shot color camera, capture that color data,
Yeah.
and then have the other scope capturing the narrowband data. The amount of data that you can collect in one night doubles basically. And that's what Ron's having tremendous success on that end of it, because it no longer takes him a long time to gather all the data using as it would if he was using one telescope and one camera. So he's got two on the go, and he can collect, especially in the summer months when you get shorter days, or shorter nights I should say, and longer days. That type of setup is fabulous for collecting a lot of data quickly, so that you can get those images out and have some fun with the hobby. But eventually I'll get there. So I'll let you know how it goes. You'll probably you'll probably know when I'm there, because I'll be pulling my hair out or something like that and screaming at you.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
What are you screaming at me for?
You'll be checking in on me on Messenger, and I'll be like,
Can't figure it out. All you're doing is just putting in more problems. That's what you end up doing. Good.
So continuing on, you can set up, if you have an observatory with a motorized dome, you can set that up. Yeah. Now I don't have an observatory. Unfortunately, my backyard is not conducive with the trees and that to an observatory. So there's actually a nice, fun little story behind where I have the telescope set up, and that is I poured a very large and thick, extra thick concrete patio out back. I tore down the deck and poured in a big patio. And since an observatory is not possible, just because of the layout and the trees and whatnot, I had to get the telescope set up something closer to the house. Not the ideal situation, but the best part of the sky that I could to get was at a particular location, and that happened to be on the patio. So I tried running this by the wife, in terms of, what do you think about a telescope sitting there, and I don't like that, and, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, anyways, I did it. My wife went out one Saturday, and buddy came over, and we drilled into the patio and bolted the pier down.
How are you still alive?
Filled it with sand, and somehow I survived.
Wow. You got to tell us the ways.
Yeah. So she wasn't overly thrilled, but nothing that could be done at that point. It was done. It was bolted down. So but so you can set up a dome if you have an observatory, set that up in here, input everything. I'm actually probably going to be working with a dome setup in Neenah sometime soon. I'm not sure. You know Wayne Parker from Sky Shed Observatories?
Yes, I know Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne, we're going to get together. He's converting to Neenah, but we're going to get together, and I'm going to set things up for him and show him how to use it. So he's got how many? I think he's got 4 observatories on the go.
He's got a lot.
Yeah. So we're going to be setting up.
I'd love to own one of his domes one of these days.
Yeah. Well, they have a new one that's coming. So
I know.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
So we got to keep that under wraps though. But it is coming, so it'll be interesting. He's got a lot of they have a lot of selection when it comes to finding the right dome observatory for you.
They do.
Yeah. Okay, so imaging tab basically allows you to choose how you're saving your files. You can save as a TIFF, a FITS, or an EXIF file, which is PixInsight native. I should really switch it to EXIF since that's what I use largely, but I've always used FITS files for so many years now. It's just sort of natural for me to use them. But you can choose that. You can choose your file paths, and you can choose your target naming pattern, what information you want to include, and it gives you a list here of the different equipment that you can include in the naming pattern for you. And it'll give you a preview too to show you how that's working. And on this side here, I just got to move this tab a little bit from the Zoom session here. So we got the Meridian flip settings. Again, this will vary depending on mount, what mount that you're using. And for me, my older mount, this works quite well, these settings. And you might have to play with it a little bit or make some adjustments for your particular setup, but this works well for me. Imaging options, you can, depending if you're using monochrome or one-shot color, you can, debar the image. You can do an unlinked stretch so that you don't have that greenish tinge to the image. Fixes that. Or in my case here, since I'm shooting mono, this is all just turned off. Star detector, I should actually probably switch to Hocus Focus since that's what I'm using for my autofocusing. But you can select between Nina and Hocus Focus for star detection and star annotator.
Focus.
Yeah, Hocus Focus. It's actually it's a plugin for Nina, specifically for autofocusing, and it actually works a little faster than the native Nina autofocus, which can be a little slow sometimes. So Hocus Focus does things a little differently, and you get the idea behind it is to get better results quicker, basically, with your autofocusing. So I've been using it now for several months, and it's been working out really nicely. I haven't had any glitches with it or anything like that. So
have you heard if Nina's going to be available for Raspberry Pis, like the Raspberry Pi 456?
I have no idea on that. The best thing I could suggest if someone's interested in that is to get on the Nina Discord channel and ask there, because the developers are there. That's where they're talking. So you'll get your answer. You'll get your answer really fast if there is any thoughts with regards to developing it. Yeah. So
where are we at now? Plate solving?
Solving. Yeah, basically this is where you can set up your plate solving, and we're still under the options tab. We're just at the plate solving menu. I'm using the ASTAP plate solver. I find that really fast and efficient, works great, but you can select from different plate solvers that you want to use. And then you're basically, plugging in the necessary
coordinates and stuff.
The necessary,
the
settings,
files,
the settings and so forth that are needed for it in order to run. So, aside from that, you're going to go to your equipment because you've set everything up at this point. You're going to go to your, you've got your camera information here. I can't connect it, but it can show, what ASCOM cameras are available, or if I had mine plugged in, you'd see the 268M sitting here. It's got a native driver for it. So you could select that, turn it on. You get your power indication, your cooling and so forth, and all the other information with regards to your camera is going to be available in this window. I'll just skip along a little faster so that, because Nina's huge, like you could go on for hours talking about it. Right?
Agreed. Totally agree.
This is where your filter wheel would be, the information with regards to your filter wheel and the filters. You have a rotator window if you're using a rotator to rotate your camera to orientate the image the way that you want it. Telescope would be your mount, what you're using to control the mount. So I'm using the Green Swamp server program, but you can use EQ mod as well is another that you can use. And you just set that up in there. Guider, again, PhD2 is what I'm using, and you can basically connect to your profile, and Nina can control the guiding then, turning it on and off, selecting a star and whatnot. If you're using a switch, you can set up your switch here. So like an Eagle or an Ultimate Power Box, as example, are two types of switches that you can use. Again, Nina can talk to it and work with it. I don't have one, so maybe I would like one. I haven't decided yet. The Eagles are nice. They're just not necessarily in the budget. But they're nice, and the Pegasus Astro Ultimate Power Box is also very nice, and it's got a lot of good capabilities, good features with it. So maybe one day. Flat panel. If you're using a flat panel, you can connect it here and set that up so that you can do flats, take flats with Nina. You can also do sky flats, like I said. Your weather station information
Yep.
is available, dome information, and safety monitors if you're using it.
Correct.
I don't have any safety monitors. I just I just run by the seat of my pants. I hope everything works well.
So there's one question, and
Yep.
Pekka, he did say that he's not able to connect anything. But when you go through your, can you hit your options tab one more time, Shawn?
Yep.
So when you hit options and you go into your general tab,
Mhm.
you're able to enter all of your information or different profiles for the equipment, correct?
That's right. Yes.
And
yes.
then once you get all that entered, say like Shawn has, we'll say 30 because it looks like 30. You get out and you go to the equipment tab at the top left.
Yeah.
And then you put in your pixels, your everything. So you're doing the profile setting
That's
in
right.
the options. And then once you do is you go to the equipment section on the left, the far left, Shawn, the upper.
Far left right there.
Yeah.
Yep, I got you.
And then what you'll do is you'll take your kit, you'll click the camera, you'll select the camera that you're using, the same with the filter wheel, so on and so forth. So you create the profile. So that's kind of like the, Shawn, would you call that in SGP, you're naming the file in a sense, like what camera, telescope, filter
Yes.
wheel.
Yeah.
that
You're
stuff.
basically naming.
You're basically you're naming the file of what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
So that's what he's done already, and we showed here.
Yeah.
That's all his setups that he has listed on there. Same with the rotator, which there are a ton of rotators. Deep Sky Dad makes a rotator, focuser, all that stuff, and you would have to input all of that into
That's
the
right.
system.
Yeah.
And then you have to individually connect it to or turn it on.
You don't have to individually connect them. Once you have it set up and those pieces of equipment are fired up and powered and working, you can actually click over here in the bottom left. You can click to connect all of the equipment, and it'll basically
they do have a master power button.
Master power button. It'll go through and connect all the equipment. The only thing that I've had trouble with sometimes is my filter wheel, QHY filter wheel, it gets power from the camera. And sometimes it doesn't pick up. Nina doesn't pick up that the filter wheel is there, that it's turned on and powered.
Because it sees it through the camera.
Sees it through the camera. Yeah. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So in that case there, I just have to manually connect the filter wheel. No big deal, but just, something to watch for, because sometimes it may not connect everything and you might have to do it manually. But for the most part, it's got the master on button. So you can certainly click that and connect to all your devices. And in turn, when you're done, you can click it and disconnect all the devices as well. So makes it really easy. Yep.
Sorry. Carry on.
That's okay. That's okay. No problem. So then Nina also has a Sky Atlas, which allows you to search for objects in the night sky, or you can search by constellation, or you can search by coordinates or surface brightness. There's all sorts of different ways to do it. So as example, if we use their M31 as example, it basically calls up the details for M31, and you can see my custom horizon here, actually, the custom horizon. So
nice.
M31, so basically what you're looking at here is everything in blue is either trees or rooftops. And that's a 360 view representation of my horizon. So M31 is above the trees for me, and I can image it all night, really, if I wanted to. It doesn't get impeded by any of the ground objects that are in my way. So you can use the Sky Atlas to search for specific objects, or you can get a list of say if I wanted to see what objects were in Andromeda that were available for me to shoot, I can select to search by constellation, and you can choose a constellation, whatever constellation you want. It's got all of them listed there. And you can basically go through and get an idea for what's available to shoot in those constellations. So there's NGC 891 as example, and it is actually, it shows you the, you know, the horizon, rise and set times, transit times, and so forth. And again, this would be an ideal object for me to shoot because it doesn't get impeded by any trees or any rooftops. So it's a very powerful atlas that is inside of Nina that's available for you to use. And I highly recommend using it. You can add targets to the sequence directly or the framing wizard from here, or you can search manually in the framing wizard as well. So it all depends on what you like to use. I don't necessarily use the Sky Atlas all that much. I know what objects that I'm interested in, and I basically just go right to the framing wizard and call up the object that I'm looking for and send it over to the sequencer for imaging for the night you know, in question that I'm going to be imaging. I'm just waiting for it to load here, the screen. It's calling out. Yeah, it's a little slow. I find the Hips to Fits Sky Survey actually fairly fast. The NASA Sky Survey I find a little slow, and some of the other ones not necessarily as good. But the Hips to Fits Sky Survey works really nice. So, and you can adjust the field of view too. You can get, I have it set to 5-degree field of view right now for this particular representation, but you can go, you know, 3 degrees. You can go narrower, or you can go larger, whatever you want to do. So it'll call. Sorry.
So this, oh, I'm sorry, Shawn. No? This gives you a frame of reference of what cameras you're using, correct?
Exactly. So in this particular case, this is the 268 that is connected to the Explorer Scientific 127, and this is giving me my field of view with the camera, how it'll frame up against this object. So in this case here, I would probably want to do a mosaic if I was going to do this properly, or possibly rotate it. Yeah, I could rotate it if I wanted to. If I had a rotator on my camera, I could rotate to orientate the camera this way to capture as much of the galaxy as possible. So it gives you your coordinates of your object. It gives you some of the camera parameters, and it allows you to set up your mosaic sequence as well. So you can, so you can, it's pretty easy to do. So there I've just set up a 4-panel mosaic sequence that I can send to the sequencer, and I can image those panels throughout the night and create this one big image if I wanted to do that. Surprisingly, I have not done it. I have not gotten into mosaics yet. It's one of those projects. I have enough difficulty getting clear skies for, you know, just shooting one panel. Never mind 4.
I had to do one with the Spaghetti Nebula. I had to split it up in 2 panels. I am afraid I'm going to goober it up and try to process it. I really am.
It'll be fun though. It'll be an
interesting experience. It'll be a learning experience. I'll have to send you the data so you can have a crack at it too.
Actually, that would be interesting. Yeah, because I've actually never done that. So,
does Nina have a drift alignment function as well?
It doesn't have a drift alignment that I'm aware of, but it does have the polar alignment. Capability, the three star. Yeah, the 3-star polar alignment. So yeah, I don't think it has a drift alignment. I guess if you wanted to do a drift alignment, you'd have to use something else, whether that's PhD or
Sharp Cap.
Sharp Cap was, I was trying to think of the name. Sharp Cap. Yeah, exactly. So but I've you know what? I've heard good things about Nina's 3-point star alignment. People have had excellent results with it. So give it a try and see how it works. It's really straightforward. It's similar to Sharp Cap, I think. I've actually not used the Sharp Cap polar alignment routine, but I'm told that they're very similar. So definitely check it out if you're looking to get polar aligned, and give it a try. So getting back here to Nina, so in the framing wizard, this is where I can select an object and I can orientate the camera how I want if I'm using a rotator. But then I can send it to, I can't do it right now because it's
wanting to connect.
Yeah, it's wanting to connect, but you can slew and center on the target, or you can just slew to it initially if you want to, and then you can add this to the simple sequencer, which is your very basic sequencer, or you can send it to the advanced sequencer. And I've got different templates set up, so I can send this M31 over to the advanced sequencer as an H alpha RGB setup. So it would allow me to shoot. I would already have my filter, my H alpha filter set up in red and green and blue and so forth, right? You could do it that way, or you could use one of the built-in templates, the basic sequence target or the deep sky object sequence to get started if you wanted to. But that being said, the advanced sequencer is very powerful and it takes some getting used to. The simple sequencer, if I just click on the simple sequencer, people that are starting to learn Nina, I always tell them start with the simple sequencer, migrate that over to the advanced sequencer, because what that's going to do is it's going to show you how the advanced sequencer is supposed to be set up. And if you don't do that, it's going to be very difficult to understand how to set up the advanced sequencer. So what I usually recommend is using, when you're starting out anyways, to get familiar with things, is to use the simple sequencer. And you basically can program in your imaging run. So I can set it to cool the camera, unpark the mount, do a Meridian flip. I can also set end of sequence options here. So I could have it warm the camera and park the mount, as example, when all of the imaging is done for the night.
I can't tell you how many times I keep forgetting to check the unpark mount.
Yeah, I know. I've done it too. Yeah. And then you basically are going to set up some target options. So we want to salute to the target first. If you're not already salute to it, we want to center. So the centering the target is the plate solving. We could set it, if we're using a rotator, we could rotate at that point as well. And we could start guiding. We want guiding to be turned on at some point when it starts imaging. So we want to make sure that that setting is checked to on. And then your autofocus tab information, you have a selection of different ways that you can maintain focus throughout the night. And you want to make sure that you turn it on, first of all. That's very important. I usually set mine to focus on a filter change just to be safe. I use offsets, but I still like to just have that good fuzzy warm feeling that the focus is maintained properly when it switches filters. So I have it autofocus on the filter change, and then you can select from different methods of maintaining that focus. You can do it by an elapsed amount of time. You can do it after a certain number of exposures. You can use temperature change. If you're monitoring your temperature, you can have it refocus after a certain temperature swing. And you can also have it focus on the stars too, in terms of the half flux radius, whether or not they're geting out of focus, and it needs to tighten things up.
Yeah. On the temperature change, what have you had any issues? Because I know it gets cold where you are. I know it gets really cold.
Yeah, it gets really cold.
Have you had any issues with the temperature change and fluctuations?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't actually use temperature as a method for autofocusing because, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I have it set to focus on every filter, but I have it autofocus every 30 to 45 minutes. It depends, but usually 30 to 45 minutes, I'll have it autofocus again. And that keeps everything nice and tight. So even if there is a temperature swing, I'm not seeing, temperatures don't typically, they can, but they don't typically drop too many degrees, within an hour, right? So you're talking maybe a degree or two, possibly at most, that it's dropping. And if you're monitoring based on time, you're going to be well within the zone for keeping your autofocus nicely tuned. That's what I found anyway. So I haven't used the temperature control to monitor for autofocus, but it is there if that's something that you want to make use of. You can also add in, then once you've got all of this set up here, you can add in your imaging runs. So for your different filters. So in this case here, let's say I want to take 12 exposures at, we'll do say 5 minutes, which is 300 seconds. And this is where I would find what type of image I'm taking. So I'm taking a light frame.
Yes.
And the filter, I don't have the filters connected, but you could select what filter you want to use. Or this might be no filter at all if you're using a one-shot color setup. I happen to be using a monochrome setup, so I can actually select the filter. So you'd select your luminance filter, your binning, whether or not you want to dither, and how many frames you want to dither for. And then basically you could add another line. It would duplicate everything. And in my case here, I would just have to change it to the red filter then. Okay, so I could set up an entire LRGB run in this. I'll just do it real quick. And blue. Okay, so there I've just set up
You just set up a whole sequence.
A whole sequence. Yeah. So everything is done. This is in the basic sequence, basic sequencer, and it'll give you a great idea how to set things up, especially when you transfer it over to the advanced sequencer. But you don't have to go to the advanced sequencer. You can save this sequence if you want to save this for reuse. You can save this, but you can just click the start sequence button, and Nina would slew the telescope, plate solve, and focus your filter and whatnot, and start taking an image with the simple sequencer, right?
Wow.
You don't have to use the advanced sequencer, but if you wanted to, you could move this over to the advanced sequencer. And again, just to reiterate what I said, if you're learning Nina and you want to learn about the advanced sequencer, you want to migrate over to it and start using some of the more powerful features within it, this is a great way to get familiar with the advanced sequencer. Set up your basic sequence and then move it over to the advanced sequencer so that you can actually see how things fall into place.
Holy moly.
So yeah, now this is the advanced sequencer. It's a lot more complicated, but it has global triggers, it has loop conditions and instruction sets and so forth. So by using the simple sequencer and migrating it over to the advanced sequencer, we're able to see where things get placed. So we understand the advanced sequencer a bit better. And this is how I learned to use the advanced sequencer, was by starting with the simple sequencer and migrating over to it, so I could see where I put things. So I want the Meridian flip under a global trigger. I want the cool camera under a global trigger. I want to unpark the scope under a global trigger, as example. And then lower on here, I've got instructions that are carried out. These are obviously the coordinates for the target M31, but it's the instructions. It's going to switch to the luminance filter. It's going to slew in center and rotate. It's going to start guiding. It's going to run autofocus, as example. And you're free to move these around too. If you click and hold on them, you can change it up, right? So I might move autofocus above guiding because it's going to turn off guiding when you're doing autofocus. At least you should turn off your guiding when you're doing autofocus. Yep. And so I might move that up, say, as example. But this is all your instructions at the start of the sequence. And then your triggers are monitored for like while you're imaging, basically. So it's going to keep an eye out for if there's an elapsed amount of time for the autofocus. So once it reaches 30 minutes, it's going to trigger the autofocus, and it's going to keep monitoring for filter changes into the triggers. Under instructions is where your smart exposures are going to be placed for taking your luminance data and your red, green, and blue data. And then you've got target closing instructions, which you can populate with other instructions. There's lots of instructions here that you can utilize, lots of triggers, lots of loop conditions. Yeah, it's chucked full of stuff. It's just crazy. But I actually don't use half of it because I don't need to, but it's pretty powerful just setting up basically and letting things run by themselves. But under instructions, as example, under the target closing. So once all of this data is collected, it'll skip forward to the target closing instructions, and it'll stop the guiding, and it'll move on to the end of sequence, which it'll warm the camera for me and park the telescope. And basically I'm done for the night at that point. So tons and tons. There is just a lot. There's so much to go through. We really don't even have time to go through it all. But as you can see, I'm just scrolling through it here quickly. There is a lot of great features within Nina for setting up an advanced imaging run. And you can set up multiple targets for a night. You don't have to just do one at a time. I could easily add another target into this if I wanted to. And you could even go back to the simple sequencer as example and add in another target if you wanted to. But
question: can you copy the whole Nina settings from one PC to another if you use a different PC?
Yeah, there's a specific directory that you can get to your profiles. I don't know what it is offhand, but I'll tell you right now, if you're doing updates at all with Nina, the updates that come out regularly, it actually says at the very top of those instructions, it actually says where those files are located on the computer. You can go grab those files, make a copy, and you can paste them onto your other computer under the Nina directory, the same Nina directory, and you'll have all of your information. You'll be able to get going.
I thought you would have to re-enter it all over again. It shows what I know.
That's what I thought. Yeah, but you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. My sheer laziness prompted me to find a way to do it a little easier rather than all have manually like that. So
that's why I'm afraid to jump to a different whole system, because I would have to literally plug it all back in. And I've spent all the time plugging it into the current one that I'm using. It's one of those things you dread doing, but you know what? What is that old saying? Eat the frog, I think it is, which basically you just got to do it, jump in and do it. I guess so.
Get it done.
Eat the frog. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't heard of that one.
No. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, in San Francisco, and this is true, sucking frogs is illegal.
Oh,
yeah, I guess some of them release the toxin that can give you psychedelic effects.
Oh, okay, that's funny.
Yeah. But
well, I wouldn't have any problems with that. That would be fine with me.
Okay.
I have no desire to suck on frogs.
Nope, never had a hankling for it.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah, can you imagine people jonesing for a frog? I mean, like that. So
this is taking a turn.
Yes.
Taking a turn.
Yeah.
Astrophotography.
Just let Scott drive. Look what happens.
I just have to throw that out.
Everybody fasten their seatbelts.
No. Wade says, I've had frog legs. There's a difference. Frog legs are cooked. We're talking about raw, living animal.
Yeah.
It's different.
Well, you're not gonna kill it. I mean, you're
kind of abusing it though, I think.
Maybe it's an animal rights thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
You might find a prince. I don't know.
I'll tell you, I have never done it and refuse to do it. So that's where I stand on the issue.
Okay, that's good to know. Breaking news. Put that across the bottom of the screen.
That's right. Oh man.
So we only got a couple more minutes left.
Guys, it's Friday, all right? So what can I say?
Couple more minutes. I'll try to do this real quick.
Okay.
So once you've got your sequencer set up and you're ready to rock and roll, you can click the go button down here in the bottom right corner. And then you can move over to your imaging tab, your imaging window. And this, again, it would be much better if it was connected, but it basically will show you an image, the current image that was taken, and it'll give you information with regards to your equipment, what's happening with it, meridian flip, time frame, stuff like that, weather conditions, if you're hooked up for it. Bottom here, this is all custom. You can customize this layout. So your Nina, if you freshly install Nina, is not going to look like this. This is me actually, moving things around.
You built
like
it.
that. I built it to look like that, and I'll probably won't be able to get it back now that I did that. But
dang it.
Yeah, dang it. Oh, well, yeah, it's not going to work. But anyways, at the bottom, I had PhD guiding showing, so I could monitor the guiding without actually having to look at PhD itself. And above it was the imaging window where it showed the current the current image that I'm taking. And then you can set up menus along the bottom for auto focusing, and that shows an autofocus run that I did, getting a V curve on the luminance filter. You have a plate solving window that'll show you the plate solving coordinates. Yep. And also you can run the plate solving from here if you need to for some reason manually. Dome control, safety monitor, filter offsets. you can set up as well. Filter offset is really great plugin that Nina has. That's actually one of the things I just want to hit on real quick.
What is that?
Well, Nina has opened the door basically for developers, third-party developers, to come in and enhance Nina, basically make it even better than how great it is already. And the plugins are basically written by third-party developers. Not all of them. Some of them written by the actual developers of Nina themselves, like Stefan. You know, he's actually the lead guy, the head guy behind Nina. But some of them are written by other folks, other chaps. And they basically give you extra capabilities with regards to Nina, things you can do. So you can Dark's Customs, as example, allows you to determine filter offsets automatically. So you basically let this plugin determine all of the filter offsets that you how that works out with regards to your monochrome setup, and then it'll store it. It can store it. It'll save it. And you don't have to do it manually, which is really
That's
great.
cool.
You don't have to figure out anything manually, right? It's got a thing for working with exoplanets. If you want
Jerry
to
would
monitor
love this, Scott.
Yeah, if you want to say take
Absolutely.
shots and monitor in real time for exoplanets, you can do that. Ground Station plugin allows you to communicate send notifications from Nina to your cell phone or email, or then that this or whatever it is that you're working with. Telegram is another one that it works with. Hocus Focus, as we touched on, is the autofocusing enhancement for Nina that's been developed. Orbiculum it monitors. What it does is it monitors the current sequence in relation to the next target. So it'll keep an eye on the current target, and you can set it up to say, as soon as the current target that's being imaged reaches a certain altitude, it'll switch to the next target. So you don't have to base it on time necessarily. You don't have to know, okay, that target's going to be available to me at 2 a.m. and it's 9 o'clock right now. So I've got to image for X number of hours before I have it switch over. You don't have to do that. This allows you to monitor the current target. And once it's reached a certain time or angle, it'll switch automatically to the next target. So it takes that's pretty cool out of the equation. Yeah, really nice. It's got some other stuff too. I know we're running out of time. Pixelate tools and 3D scope view is built into it now. You got scope control. You got scope control built into Nina as well. And of course, your 3-point polar alignment is here that you can add in. That's a plugin that's added for Nina, but it allows you to do your polar alignment, as we've touched on. So that is a basic, really quick overview. Like I said, that's really fast. Like that hour just blew by. I'm really surprised. The rabbit hole goes deep with Nina, but it is a very nice, powerful program, and it actually is not that hard to use. It just seems that way when you first get into it. So if you just take it step by step, like I said, go to your options and create your profiles and enter your equipment information and so forth that you're using. Get that all set up, and then learn it with the basic sequencer. Try and learn with the basic sequencer how to use Nina, and then migrate over to the advanced. I wouldn't recommend jumping right into the advanced unless you're, I would say like an advanced astrophotographer and you're willing to commit to that. Jumping into that headache, commit to that headache is what I'm thinking, because it's going to be really difficult. So start with the basic sequencer and migrate over to the advanced sequencer at some point. That would be my best recommendation.
Well, awesome. I learned more about Nina than I have when it's just sitting right in front of me and I'm trying to do with it. So it's always great to visualize it, for sure. It really is. God, that's great. Now I know Nina does have a Discord. Can you go to their? Well, we can't post. I've tried to post it in the YouTube chat, and I think it cuts it off halfway. Okay. But they do have. Well, if you go to Discord and look up Nina, I'm sure you're going to find it. You're going to find the server. So that is true. Yeah. So that's if you guys are concerned, or if you're having issues with Nina, hit the Discord, because like Shawn says, that's where the devs are. And I mean, if you're getting answers from the devs or any other members of the group, Well, then they probably know what they're doing, I would assume. Or they
You
wouldn't
hope
have to do-
anyways.
Yeah.
If they don't know, we're all in trouble.
But Shawn, I do appreciate we're fixing to get ready for Scott's got to do something with the Astronomical League next.
Yep.
But I really appreciate you coming on and showing us the ins and outs.
No problem at all.
Through Nina, the process.
Great to be here.
And another one is, Scott, any idea when the Explore Scientific FCD 100 Series 127 carbon fiber triplet will be back in stock? And I think it's going to be at the end of the second quarter, I think. Do you know? Maybe?
ED 127s?
Carbon fiber, FCD 100s. I think Kent said the end of second quarter. I think.
Hold
Maybe.
on. I'll find out for you. Hold
All
on.
right. Stand by. We're standing
Stand by, everyone. We're going to find out breaking news.
Breaking news in the telescope industry.
Well, here, let me show something real quick while Scott's running off there. I just thought I set up a few things for today just in case, but I just thought this was fun. This is the very first image I took.
You took this with an SCT.
Well,
Wow.
when I first got into astrophotography, I started with a 8-inch SCT. That was my, and it wasn't even on an equatorial platform. It was just alt as, and this was the very first image of M31 that I took. It's about 8 minutes of data. And I remember scratching my head why it didn't look better, because I said to everyone I had 8 minutes of data, and they were laughing. So because obviously you need a lot more than that, right? But I didn't.
Didn't know that.
So,
But still, you can still see the dust lanes.
Yeah, you can still see them. Yeah, they're there. So that's the first image of M31 that I took. And just real quick, this is a recent image of M31 that I took. So there's the advancement. You know,
a little different.
Yeah,
a little different. Night and day there. Night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, night and day.
Yeah,
So,
it's pretty amazing. It's a beautiful shot of M31.
yeah, thank you.
But what did you find out, Scott, for the wonderful audience that was asking?
Look, still, we think that it's going to be June at this point. That's the best information we have.
Yeah.
We don't really, we can't tell you exactly until we see the container loaded with the product on the water. Okay, and at that point, that we can really start the clock ticking. The issue is on telescopes like this is that they are of course, all telescopes are handmade. Okay. So it's not like a machine is cranking these things out. Okay. No. They go through a lot of QA before they leave the factory, and then they have to pass all of Explore Scientific's QA here in Springdale. Okay. So that's another little gauntlet right there. So usually, we get great results when they come in from the factory. Sometimes we find something that we need to improve on, or we don't like, or whatever. We don't put those things out on the marketplace, and that is, I can't say that every company does that, but that is where we hold the line. We want to have the customer get the best experience they can with their telescope that they are dreaming about and thinking about. So, they have to pass our optical tests, our mechanical tests. Doesn't mean that we're perfect either. Okay. But we certainly take the approach that it's better to do that kind of inspection. Okay. Rather than let a customer kind of figure it out on their own. So,
yeah, excellent. Yeah,
bear with us as we go through this process.
One thing that I have ran into out there in the Astro community is Explore Scientific has a very good name for its support and service for customers. They that comes up over and over again, just how good it is. So yeah.
Don't
cry, Tyler. Don't cry.
Actually, Tyler, I'll honk Tyler's horn a little bit here. He has.
Oh boy.
There's something here called the Better Business Bureau. Okay.
Right. Yep.
And customers often put reviews up there, of our company. And Tyler has a lot of 5-star reviews.
Excellent.
Based on his service and all the rest of it. But I would say that goes for also our team.
It's the team, and that's what I want to strive for.
Team effort.
We talk about, scenarios all the time about our customers. I can tell you that believe it or not, when things don't seem right, our customer service team and myself, and we'll stare at the ceiling sometimes trying to figure out how could this have ever happened, and what's the best way to take care of our customer, because we want to take care of customers the way that we want to be treated. Okay. So it's not like, oh, well, how's this going to affect the company? We think more about how's this going to affect the relationship of our customer, with Explore Scientific. So,
but Shawn,
that's really the deal.
I really again appreciate it.
Boss.
Customer is always boss. I think, Scott, we really need to have a Q&A section or episode for the Focus on Astrophotography. What does a customer want to learn?
Last time, and you did some of that tonight, this afternoon.
So
there's always a lot of questions.
Other than that, that's all I got. Scott, I know you got to do another show. Shawn, again, as always, I appreciate your time. It is worth its weight in gold. And
more than welcome.
People, don't forget that Shawn also has a great YouTube channel. He has a great website, which is visibledark.ca. Shawn has a lot of PixInsight tutorials, which is a pain to get through on your own. And this wonderful man will walk you through step by step on how to get the amazing images that we want. But all right, other than that, that's it. That's all I got. Shawn,
okay,
Scott,
that's great.
I appreciate
Thanks, guys.
it.
Appreciate it. You have a good one. We'll talk soon.
Well. Okay.
Yeah, and before we really go here, I'm going to put Shawn's YouTube channel in chat. Okay, there we go.
Awesome.
So thanks again. Thank you,
Appreciate
Shawn.
that.
Thank you, Tyler. Thanks to the audience. Thanks for watching us. And stay tuned because it's at 6 p.m. Central, which is just less than an hour from now. The Astronomical League Live will be on, and the featured speaker is John Goss of the Astronomical League. So
nice.
Excellent. Great. Sounds like a good show.
Take care.
Okay.
Take care.
See you guys.